Last week, we talked about why former athletes can't train alone, why the environment you lost when you stopped competing is the real reason you can't stay consistent. This week is different. This one is personal because I want to tell you about the moment that changed everything for me and why I think most of you listening are closer to that moment than you realize. January the 4th, 2016. Monday morning, 5 a.m. I'm in my home gym. I've been overdoing it all over Christmas, eating too much, moving too little, and I had that classic January mindset. Right, it's time to get after it. First exercise was heavy barbell bent over rows. No warm up, no ramp up sets, a cold spine, poor form, a weight I had absolutely no business lifting at 5 a.m. Halfway through the first set, I felt it. A sharp, sickening twinge down my lower back and into my left leg. I finished the workout because, of course, I did. That's what you do, right? You push through. Over the next few days, the pain didn't go away. It got worse. I was limping, sitting hurt. I couldn't sleep properly, and my head started going. I was panicking about being injured, about commuting up to Dublin for work, about what this meant for my life. Eventually, I got the MRI, 3 bulging lumbar discs, and when I went to the GP, he told me I'd probably never lift heavy again, I'd never run again, that I should just learn to live with it. The pain was one thing. What I couldn't deal with was the idea that I was about to become average, that the strong, capable version of me, the lad that could always handle himself, who trained, who was fit, that version was gone. That fear, the fear of becoming ordinary, that's the thing that actually broke me. Not the this, that fear. Now, I'm not telling you this for sympathy. I'm telling you because what happened to me is a more extreme version of what's happening to most of you right now. I spent years training on effort, no structure, no periodization, no warm-ups, no deload weeks. Just go hard and hope for the best. And it worked until it didn't. And that's the pattern I see every single week with former athletes. You're training hard, or you were, but there's no system underneath it, no progression, no recovery built in, just effort and willpower until something gives. For me, it was 3 buzzing discs at 5 a.m. on a January Monday. For you, it might be a back that goes every few months, a shoulder that flares up, a knee that won't settle, or just this slow, creeping drift, this feeling that your body isn't what it used to be and the gap is getting wider. The difference between my story and yours is that I hit a wall hard and it forced me to rebuild from scratch. I spent thousands of euros on physios. Some of them were brilliant. O'Neill and O'Meaf changed everything for me. Some of them were absolutely useless. It took me years to rebuild what I could have protected with a few months of proper structure. That experience changed the direction of my life. I left my job as a building surveyor. I trained as a coach and built Temple Town Strength and Conditioning around one principle: effort without structure will eventually break you. I learned it the hard way, so my clients don't have to. So let me describe the moment I think most of you are either living right now or getting close to. It's not one big thing, it's a series of small ones. You go to pick up your kid and something twinges in your back. Nothing serious, but you notice it. You play 5 minutes of football at a family gathering and you're wrecked for 3 days afterwards. Not just tired, but sore, stiff, moving like you're 20 years older than you are. You catch a photo of yourself and the person looking back at you doesn't match the person in your head. You try on clothes that used to fit and they don't anymore. You avoid certain movements in the gym because something doesn't feel right. None of these on their own are a crisis, but together they are a pattern, and the pattern has a name: drift. Not fast, not dramatic, but steady, month by month, and the gap between who you were and who you are is getting wider. You've seen this. You've felt it. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And here's the hard truth. Most people don't fix this. They just accept it. They tell themselves, I'm just getting older, or I'll get back to it eventually. But eventually doesn't come. The gap keeps growing. And at some point, you stop trying to close it. That's not aging. That's drift. If you listened to the belly episode 2 weeks ago, and you listened to the environment episode last week, and you're still here, you already know the problem. The question is whether you're going to do something about it or let it another 6 months go by. Most people who message me about this have been putting it off for years, and every single one of them says the same thing. I wish I had done this sooner. DM me the word rebuild on Instagram. I'll ask you a couple of questions and tell you straight whether the 12-week strength rebuild is a fit or not. No pressure, but don't sit on this one. Okay, let's keep going. Here's the thing people don't understand about waiting. The longer you wait, the harder the rebuild becomes. Not just psychologically, but physically as well. After 30, if you're not actively strength training, you lose muscle mass every year. It's slow, you don't notice it, but it compounds. At 35, the gap is usually smaller. A few months of structured training can close a lot of it. At 40, the gap is bigger. You've lost muscle, your movement patterns have changed. Recovery takes longer. It's still completely fixable, but it takes more structure and more patience. At 45, you're dealing with a decade of drift, muscle loss, stiffness, possible niggles that have become chronic because they were never properly managed. It's still fixable, but the rebuild is longer. The point I'm making isn't to scare you. The point is that the best time to start was 5 years ago. The second best time is now. And every month you wait, the rebuild gets 1 month longer. I rebuilt after 3 buzzing discs and a GP telling me I was done. It took me years because I had no system and no coach. With the right structure, it doesn't take years. It takes 12 weeks to feel fundamentally different if the structure is right, but only if you actually start. So what does the starting point actually look like? I'll tell you what week 1 looks like for most people I coach, not the full program. The detail is what the application calls for. Most people arrive thinking they need to train harder. They don't. They need to train smarter. Week 1 is about baselines. We establish where you actually are, not where you think you are, and not where you were 5 years ago. Your current strength, your current movement quality, your current nutrition, and your current recovery capacity. Then we build from there, not from where you used to be, but from where you are now. That single shift, training for the body you have instead of the body you remember, is what changes everything. From there, structured progression every week builds on the last. Routine is fixed first. Compound lifts are programmed with progressive overload. Deload weeks are built in. And every Sunday, you submit a review form. Every Monday, I send a coaching voice note with adjustments and feedback. It's not complicated, but it does require honesty about where you're starting. And most people need a coach to hold them to that honesty, because left to their own devices, they'll skip the foundation and go straight to the intensity phase. That's what got most of them stuck in the first place. Here's what I want to leave you with. I know what it feels like to question your body. I know what it feels like to be told you're done. I know what it feels like to look at yourself and not recognize who's looking back. I also know what it feels like to rebuild, to get stronger than where you were before, to trust your body again, to feel like an athlete again, not because you're competing, but because you're training with purpose and structure. I'm fitter now than I was during my GA years. That's not a brag. It's proof that the system works, even when you're starting from rock bottom. The 12-week strength rebuild is open for the current intake. Private coaching, structured programming, weekly reviews, direct access to me. I cap intake because I coach each person directly. Numbers are limited. So if you've been listening to this series and recognizing yourself, the belly, the environment, the drift, this is the week to act. Not because I'm pressuring you, but because every week you wait is a week the gap gets wider. DM me the word rebuild on Instagram or apply at templetownsc.com. You didn't break, you drifted, and drift is reversible. Let's rebuild. Chat to you next week.